And we'll check back in. We had a no-go yesterday, so we'll talk about that in a minute. Let me get this one up and running. There's such a big delay. There we go. There we go. All right, let's do this. Good morning and welcome to your early morning intuitive guidance. Happy Tuesday. I wasn't on yesterday because I was taking a family member to a surgical appointment, so was not able to broadcast, wasn't even able to get a signal. We had to be there at dawn and there wasn't even a signal in the bowels where we were. So good morning, Beth. You're the first one on today. Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome. So we have a lovely card today, and it kind of made me laugh because as I was going about my morning prep and then getting ready to sit down here, I was thinking, man, I just need some quiet time. I just need some time sitting on the porch watching the world go by, or sitting in the park and watching the animals or something. I need something. And so here comes today's card. There are no accidents. There are no accidents. So let us start with some tapping and some breath. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And we may have a fewer folks on today because once you miss a day, there's a little bit of atrophy that happens. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Doesn't that feel good? And again, if you're getting a little bit lightheaded, it just means that typically on a day-to-day basis, you aren't breathing much. So practice. Breathe in, breathe out. Isn't that nice? Breathe in, breathe out. And the more we practice on a day-to-day basis, when we get to the point where breathing is really important, say we get sick or we have an accident or something like that, we've got a much greater capacity built up than if we've been doing for years, right? So let's talk about our card today. Today is also Tuesday, which means I get to talk to my beloved coffee group. And good morning, Joniel. Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And let's see, what else is going on today? A couple of meetings, but also some open spaces. Yay! So I will be on my porch. Started vacuuming. Girl, you know that's a dangerous sport. You know what happens to people who vacuum. Mm, That's only for the young. So we have grace cards from Cheryl Richardson. And it's this lovely, this is an old deck. I don't even know what year this one was published, but old. And but timeless guidance. Timeless guidance. So here's our card. Self. Self. And if you notice right by her neck, it almost looks like, well, it almost looks like a chain, but it almost looks like a spinal cord as well. So interesting imagery. So let's take a breath and open ourselves fully to today's message. Let it go. Welcome to the others of you who've popped on, whose names aren't showing up. Glad you are here. Welcome. So, and again, if you happen to straggle past me and land here on a particular morning, know that whatever the message is for the day that you show up, there's a reason you're here to hear it. There's a reason that you are here to hear it. So here's today's message. Go within. Go within. Take a moment just with those two words. Go within. What does that mean to you? Are you like, hate that, I don't want to know what's going on in there. Go within. Oh, a fawn. Fabulous. Good morning, Gwen. Good morning, Barb. Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome. Oh, that is awesome. We still have yet to see any of the fawns. I know they're in there, but none of them popping out on those spindly little legs yet. Looking forward to that. Go within. When we invest more energy in developing our spiritual lives, the outer world begins to take care of itself. That is the whole nature of the God jar. So, Tosha Silver's brilliant idea, mine's a jar. You can use a Kleenex box, you can use a little trivet box, whatever you got. But when you write down the things that are worrying you, troubling you, you're unsure how they're going to turn out, you want some divine guidance and you want support, Write them on a little piece of paper and throw them in there. Then let them go. Let them go. Because when we hang on to stuff, I don't know if you've noticed this yet, but we tend to mess it up. Because if we're overwrought about it and we're fretting, we're bringing an energy to that whole thing that is not going to allow for flow. Good morning, Nancy. Welcome. Glad you are here. I'll show you our card. Self, self, and it's about going within. So when we can let go, physically, metaphorically, spiritually, intellectually, all the ways, when we can let go, then the flow can begin to happen more. When we can take a mindset of, I need some distance, I need to step back, I need to allow this to flow with me rather than me trying to direct the flow. Yeah, directing the flow. I actually read, I think it was from a couple of days ago, makes this point. It was Heather Cox Richardson, one of her historic posts where she's talking about something that happened, I think it was 1886 or somewhere in that ballpark. But a group of very rich individuals there was already a reservoir that had been created for a particular manufacturing purpose, I believe. Anyway, it had been abandoned because there were other ways that worked better. And so they bought the area and built gigantic houses and all the things. And the dam that held the water in the reservoir, below that was a huge drop. And down the river a ways was a town. I believe it was called Johnstown. Anyway, the gist of it was at one point they hadn't maintained the dam, they hadn't done their due diligence, and a bunch of rain came, the dam got overwhelmed. One individual tried to do some things to get more water flowing down through the rivers to ease the pressure on the dam and to warn the town below. Both of those efforts failed. The dam burst, and it was thousands of people who died. Thousands of people who died. So again, when we don't heed the inner guidance, do the things that we're called to do the things that are, I'm going to put the word out there, right. And right for one person may be different than right for another person. And so the podcast that I recently did that was on spirituality, which is what we're talking about here, I made the point in there that no one can tell you how your spirituality ought to be, that you have the right to interface with the divine and create a spirituality that works for you. It shouldn't be one size fits all. It should be a unique relationship between you and that divine intelligence, that organizing energy, right? So let's read this again. Self. Go within. When we invest more energy in developing our spiritual lives, the outer world begins to take care of itself. So again, if we're hand-wringing about what isn't working in our human view, what isn't working, what if there's this divine organizing force that's taking care of everything, that is organizing things? Now, that doesn't mean we sit around and do nothing. We have our role to play in the interface with this divine organizing force, right? So, what are you called to do? Who are you called to be? When we take the time to listen within and follow that guidance, we not only end up feeling more grounded and feeling more in tune with what we're here to be doing and who we're here to be, but we also have a positive impact on those around us. Human beings, animals, creation, and we need more of us in that place of, I'm going to be exactly who I am intended to be. And it does change over time. It's not like you lock in on, okay, this is me, and stay that way till the end of your life. Good morning, Abigail. Glad you're here. Welcome. So being curious about who is the self I am right now, And maybe look at this as that divine connection that feeds into your physical being. Guidance. Guidance. That was a weird image. Okay, so what dropped into my head was, remember in driver's ed where you're at the wheel with your eyes bugged out and the person who's teaching you how to drive is sitting beside you and they're kind of feeding you ideas. Okay, you need to slow down a little bit on this corner. Slow down a little bit on this corner. That's kind of the same thing. So there's this divine connection to this universal wisdom that when we still ourselves, when we are quiet, when we ask the questions and allow them to kind of rattle around in the cosmos, answers begin to emerge. Guidance begins to show up. Again, don't be worried if at the beginning it sounds like crickets. We need to cultivate this. We need to cultivate this divine guidance that's available to all of us. Available to all of us. So the podcast that I did, I was talking about that if someone is telling you how you ought to be, yes, they did. Some did, some didn't. My most horrified thing was they put a cone in front of us, and through a headset, he's in a tower, through a headset, he's watching how fast are we going, and he wanted us at 25 miles an hour. This was on like a school track, and then he was going to holler left, right, or stop, and you had to get it right. 25 miles an hour feels very fast when you're approaching this cone that you don't want to squish. Yeah, that was quite something. Anyway, back to podcast. I said, if someone's trying to tell you how your spirituality ought to be, run, not walk to the nearest exit, because no one else should dictate how someone else's relationship with the divine ought to be, right? And so go within. Take some time to go within. 5 minutes, 2 minutes. The tower guy, yes, the tower guy. I bet they laughed their butts off about the dumb stuff we did. Whatever. Thank God we now have licenses, and thank God we get to hold on to them for 10 years because, yeah, I do think as we get a little older, it wouldn't be bad if they dropped that to 5 years and tested us a little more because, yeah, things a lot. I know my ex-husband's boss was 95 years old and got his 10-year license. Yeah, he came in and he slapped it on the table like, there. Yeah, he was quite something. He's the same guy who every year rolled his garden tractor over on top of himself and had to get hauled off to the hospital. That never did kill him, though. Nope. So go within. Take 2 minutes. Here, there, wherever. Set a couple timers on your phone today. And when it goes off, see if you can engineer yourself 2 minutes. You might have to escape to the bathroom, but just be. Just sit and breathe 2 minutes. And you might walk away from that going, well, that didn't do much for me. Keep doing it. Do it again and again and again. And notice what begins to change, what begins to happen. So let's read it one more time. There it is. Self. Go within. When we invest more energy in developing our spiritual lives, the outer world begins to take care of itself because we are not trying to micromanage it. Have an awesome Tuesday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.